Habits are a hot topic right now, and a lot of people have realized that the way that we can change our lifestyle is by leveraging the power of habits, because habits are the things that we do on autopilot. And so if you can install a new healthy habit into your daily life, then you'll be able to easily achieve your goals, right? Well, this theory is solid, but the trouble sometimes happens with the execution. If you have tried to adopt new healthy habits and it didn't work, or the habit, just didn't stick, then you might be making one of these very common mistakes that I see people making all the time. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 mistakes that you might be making when you're trying to adopt a new habit and how to fix them. Now, if you have watched me here on YouTube before, then of course, welcome back. But if you are new to my channel, then welcome. I'm Dr. Kim Foster, and I'm an MD turned coach, wellness expert, and entrepreneur. I was a family doctor for 20 years before leaving the healthcare system to focus entirely on my wellness business. And I'm also the founder of the Wellness Coach Academy, where we train aspiring health and wellness coaches and help them to build their businesses. And here on YouTube, I upload videos with all kinds of tips and strategies for living your best life. And if you're interested in that, then be sure to subscribe and go ahead and hit the notification bell. Now, let's talk about the mistakes that people make when they try to adopt a new healthy habit. The first one is starting too big. This is one of the major reasons why a habit fails to stick. It's just too big of a change, and you're trying to change way too much all at once. Attempting to overhaul your entire lifestyle overnight is a recipe for failure. Many people make the mistake of trying to adopt multiple healthy habits all at the same time, which can be really overwhelming and very difficult to sustain. It's much more effective to focus on one habit at a time and really nail that habit, and then gradually incorporate additional changes and new habits down the line. Number 2 is focusing too much on the long-term benefits. This is huge, so I really want you to pay attention here. I know it sounds counterintuitive. It sounds weird that I'm telling you not to focus so much on the long-term benefits of your new healthy habit, but this is a big mistake that a lot of people make. And honestly, we all make this mistake. And I don't just mean individuals, but as a society, we make this mistake. We think that if we just emphasize the importance of something, that will give us the motivation to keep us going. If we keep the big picture goal in mind, we think that'll be enough to keep us, moving forward. But the research actually does not support this. Keeping your big picture goal and your vision in mind can be helpful, and I use this as a strategy myself, but in many cases, it's not going to be enough. That's why I said this mistake was focusing too much on the long-term benefits. It's an over-reliance on your long-term goal is really far away that causes trouble. Humans are not wired to prioritize long-term benefit over short-term needs and wants. We just aren't. It's probably because in our prehistoric form, it was not a survival advantage to do something that was short-term harmful or unpleasant in order to gain a long-term benefit. Because, of course, if we didn't attend to our immediate needs, there just wasn't going to be a long-term. So that delayed gratification thing, it just doesn't come naturally to us. So if you're starting a new habit that you don't really enjoy, but you're counting on the fact that you really, really want it and the long-term benefit is going to be really worth it, unfortunately, you might be setting yourself up for failure. Now, I do go a bit more in depth on this topic in another video that I uploaded recently. It's all about how to boost your motivation, including some strategies to help you get through that in-between phase when you're improving your lifestyle, but your goal is a long way off. And of course, that's when motivation really drops. So if you're interested in a deeper dive on this topic, then I do recommend watching this video next that I am going to be linking on the screen. But basically, what I'm talking about here with this mistake is an over-reliance on willpower to get you through, thinking that just because something is really important to you, that you'll be able to grit your teeth and do whatever it takes to get you there. Because unfortunately, relying solely on willpower is often unsustainable. Willpower is a limited resource that can be easily depleted over time. A better way to go is focus on crafting an environment that supports your healthy habits, and also try to make your desired habits more convenient and easier and enjoyable, and surround yourself with people who can support you and help you to stay on track. So this brings me to the very next mistake that people make when trying to adopt a new healthy habit, which is number 3, failing to address your mindset. So before I was able to make running a part of my everyday routine, I had tried a few times to adopt the habit of running, and I really hated it. I had a story that it was painful and boring, and it was basically like banging my head against a brick wall. It only felt good when it stopped. But years later, in my late 30s, I finally managed to try running again. And this time I made it stick. And the only reason I was able to do it was because I worked on my mindset first. I had to become someone who enjoyed running and who looked forward to it and who had it as a regular part of her life before it could become part of my regular life. I had to start very, very gradually so that it was not painful or hard or unpleasant at all. And I focused on all the good aspects of it, so that rather than having a tape in my mind of, oh, this is awful, when can it just stop? I had to replace that with, this feels good. I love moving my body like this. And that is what helped me want to keep going. So for whatever habit you want to choose, pay attention to the story that you have about that habit. Listen to the things that you're saying to yourself and ask yourself, is this self-talk supporting me in adopting this habit or sabotaging it? If you're interested in learning more about my thoughts on the role of mindset, especially around attempting to lose weight, then you may want to watch the video that I'm going to be linking on the screen here that I created recently to address the, common reasons why people struggle with their weight loss efforts and why the diets that they have tried have failed them. I've also created a free workbook that you can download, and it's called Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life. And I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the description box so you can just find that link below and then download that workbook for free. Okay, so let's move on to the 4th mistake that people make with their habits, and that is choosing a habit just because it's what everybody else is doing. Choosing the right habit is just as important as how you go about making that habit stick. And when you decide to try a habit because it seems really popular and trendy and everybody that you know is doing it, that's not a great idea. But you're not alone. It's called a bandwagon for a reason. A healthy habit, though, needs to be right for you, not what's popular. It needs to be in alignment with your big picture goals, and it needs to be something that is going to work for your lifestyle, for the season in your life, and a lot of other individual factors. Choosing a habit because it's the trendy thing, it may or may not work for you, but most likely is really just setting you up for failure. Okay, mistake number 5, the final one that I'm going to talk about in this video, is being too inflexible with your habit. Many people fall into the trap of thinking that if they can't maintain a habit perfectly, there's no point in continuing. And this all or nothing mindset can be really demotivating, and of course, tends to lead to people just giving up altogether. So here's an example. Let's say you want to walk 10,000 steps in a day. And maybe this is a lot more than you usually move if you currently have a fairly sedentary lifestyle. So you get yourself all set up with an app on your phone to track your steps, or whatever device that you choose, and then you start your day all excited. You do your errands on foot, you park further away from the shops to get more steps in, you take the stairs a couple of times rather than the elevator, and all day long you're working on hitting those 10,000 steps. And you come in at the end of the day at 9,000 steps. And you look at that number in dismay. It's not 10,000. You feel like you failed. You try to think of how could you have got more steps in during the day, and you feel like you made so many changes and worked really hard, but it didn't get you to that goal. So you feel defeated and disappointed. And the next day you think, what's the point? I can work really hard all day and I'll just never get to 10,000. Forget it. I'm not even going to bother today. And you can see how this is super heartbreaking, right? Because if you actually did all those things that I described, taking the stairs and parking further away and, all those things, and you lived like that every day and kept it up for weeks and months and years, that would make a huge difference to your health long term. But the focus on the habit, on that arbitrary goal of 10,000 steps and making it mean that if you couldn't hit that particular target, there was no point, of course, it's illogical and irrational. But I think you know what I'm talking about. And you know that we all fall prey to that all or nothing mentality sometimes. So this is one of the potential dangers of setting healthy habits and then being really rigid in the execution. So habits are great, but if you get rigid and inflexible, or you make yourself feel bad because let's say you didn't execute your 12-part morning routine perfectly, you only did 8 of your morning routine rituals, that's just not so great to beat yourself up about that, because it's probably 8 more supportive, nourishing things that you did for yourself, and that's a win. You can call that a win. All right, those are the 5 mistakes that I wanted to go through in this video. I really hope that the next time that you decide to try adopting a new healthy habit, that you keep these in mind, which will set you up for success much better than before. So as a recap, here are the 5 mistakes that we talked about. Number 1 is starting too big, just trying to change too much too quickly. Number 2 is focusing too much on the long-term benefits and relying on willpower rather than focusing on the short-term pleasure and benefit of your new habit. Number 3 is failing to address your mindset and who you need to become and what you need to think and believe. Number 4 is choosing a habit just because it's what everybody else is doing. Number 5 is being too inflexible with your habit and falling into that trap of all or nothing thinking. Again, if you're interested in learning more about how to really examine your mindset and stop sabotaging yourself, be sure to download my workbook, Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life, using the link in the description box. As always, I would love to hear from you. Which of those mistakes do you realize that you have made in the past? And how are you going to correct it with the next healthy habit that you are working on? Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Okay, that's a wrap for this video. Take care, have an amazing day, and I will see you again very soon.